Hello students, are you ready for May 13th, the date of your English exam? First of all, let me compliment you. You are an exceptional batch. You are the only batch of 12th grade students who are writing 2 rounds of board exams. Well, the first round is already done and dusted. MCQs are over, and now we are looking at the term 2 exam, which is going to be a subjective paper. The format, the blueprint is totally different, and that's why this video is very important for you. First, let us look at the syllabus and the blueprint for our term 2 subjective paper. You will have reading comprehension, under which there would be 2 passages. The weightage for this section is 14 marks. The first question will be for 8 marks, and the second one, a case-based unseen comprehension passage, will be for 6 marks. The next section comprises of creative writing skills. Over here, under short writing tasks, you have done formal and informal invitation, cards, letters, or replies to invitations. This is for 3 marks. And the next question is your long writing task, where you can get a letter of application for a job or a report writing. This is for 5 marks. Under literature section, which is for 18 marks, you will get questions based on extracts, text to assess comprehension and appreciation, analysis, inference, and extrapolation. Here, the chapters that are going to be tested in your second term exam, from Flamingo, you have the Rat Trap, Indigo. Poetry is Thing of Beauty, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. And from Vistas, you have Should Wizard Hit Mommy? On the Face of It, Evans tries an O-level. So your paper is going to be for 40 marks, and 10 marks are given for your project under ASL. So the grand total comes to 50. Time allowed for the paper is 2 hours. Of course, you will get 15 minutes of reading time. Writing time would be 2 hours, and total marks for the written exam would be 40. Your question paper would have 3 sections, as I mentioned: reading, writing, and literature. Well, I'm just reminding you once again, there are no MCQs, it's only subjective questions. And you will attempt questions based on specific instructions for each part. So when I say specific instructions, I mean you must read the word limit. You must see wherever there is an internal choice. So don't be overconfident, children. Read the question carefully. The first question will be an unseen passage, where based on your understanding of the passage, you would answer any 8 questions out of 9. So please try and answer those questions where you are sure about the answer. Sometimes students, they try and answer all 9. And if the 9th question happens to be correct and somewhere in between one question is wrong, unnecessarily you will lose marks. So attempt only the required number of questions. First question, you will have to answer 8 questions. As you can see over here, I've written, in your unseen passage, you are required to look for evidence in the passage supporting your answer. In some questions, maybe inference is required, so read between the lines. In other questions, you might see that maybe just a phrase is required as an answer, but please write in full sentence. It's an English paper, so please use full sentences and not just phrases. The second question will be a case-based passage. Over here, you will answer any 6 questions out of 7. As I have written over here in bold letters also, any 6. So answer those 6 questions where you are sure about the answer. Okay, here the questions are factual and you have to include details from the passage. Sometimes you'll find there would be statistics, sometimes there could be a bar diagram or a map. So you have to include details from your passage. Draw on the objectives from the passage. You may require some kind of comparison that has to be made between 2 things or 3 things. So read the question. Substantiate from the passage. There might be examples which you may have to refer to. And infer reason. So these are the kind of questions that would be there from your case-based passage. The next question, question 3, is based on your short writing skill. And as I mentioned, it is invitations and replies to invitations. Now, in this question, you should be able to convey ideas convincingly using appropriate layout as relevant. Now, when I say appropriate layout, you must have seen my video on short writing skills, and you would know when I say appropriate layout for a card format or when you are writing a formal letter for invitation. So that has to be perfect. Then next is the content and structure, the ideas logically. You need to put everything in a proper sequential manner. Use a range of vocabulary and sentence structure appropriate to the content and the context. So if you are drafting a card, you would know what kind of language should be used, what should be the content, whether the name of the chief guest should come in a particular card. All that should be as per the question. Make an accurate use of spelling, punctuation and grammar. As you can see, the division of marks is like this: content 2, expression 1. And now this is very important, children. There can be deduction up to 1 mark if the format is incorrect. So for example, if you are supposed to make a card and you write it as a letter, 1 mark will be deducted for wrong format. Then if there are more than 2 or 3 spelling mistakes, your 1 mark can be deducted, and even for grammatical accuracies. So you have to be very careful. Even though it's a short writing skill, you have to be careful. Rather, children, I always advise my students to be extra careful in short writing skills, because here it's very easy to get full marks. Okay? The next question is your long writing skill. Here you will get an internal choice between a job application and report writing. So as I said, read the question carefully. There will be an internal choice, and if you are comfortable with writing a job application, please go and write that. I know some students feel that job application requires a lot of time, but you know, it's really very simple if you do it in a proper manner. if you write it systematically, it's very easy to get a good score in this question also. So when it comes to job application, the content would include a covering letter. You all know that it is divided into two parts, covering letter and biodata. So the covering letter should have a reference to the advertisement. It should convey suitability for the position, submission of the application, and then followed by a resume or biodata as a separate enclosure. Remember, it's a separate thing where you give a profile of self, you give your educational qualifications and any other relevant information. Please do watch my video for long writing skills if you want to know particular things that you should keep in mind when writing a job application. In report writing, when it comes to content, all points to be included. Again, all points would mean what happened, where it happened, and other details that should come. Please watch my video for long writing skills to look for more information about report writing. Well, now the next point is that it should have complete clarity. It should be well developed and it should have complete clarity. When it comes to expression in your long writing skills, in order to get that perfect 2, so 2 marks for content, 2 for expression, to get perfect 2, what do you keep in mind? So these are the points: that it should have highly effective style capable of conveying the ideas convincingly. Next, appropriate layout of a formal letter or a report, as the case may be. Carefully structured content with organized paragraphing presented cohesively. Highly effective register, that is formal tone and vocabulary, relevant and appropriate sentences for conveying the ideas precisely and effectively. So if you are looking at a perfect 2 in expression, keep these things in mind. Accuracy is for 1 marks, and for this you have to be very careful about spelling mistakes, punctuation, grammar, which should be largely accurate. Next comes your literature section. Over here, the short questions section would have 6 questions, out of which you will answer any 5. Again, only choose the ones you are completely sure about. These questions are for 2 marks each. Word limit is 40 words. Marks will be awarded for content and expression. And when I say content, usually you will find, children, that in these answers you will have 2 points. In certain cases, you might have more than 2 points. And now the beauty is how you put these 3-4 points together cohesively using connectors. Under expression, you can see it includes language and organization of answer. So organization of answer is basically putting the points cohesively. And here, just a word of advice, do not write in bullet points. For God's sake, this is a paper of English, okay? So no bullet points here. Long question, there will be 3 questions, 4 marks each. You have to attempt any 2. And here, you don't have to be careful that you are attempting 1 from Flamingo and 1 from Vistas. It's absolutely your choice. You can attempt any 2. Okay? These are for 120 to 150 words, and content, as it says, 2 marks includes sustained, clear, well-developed personal response to the task and justified arguments. Now, if you are writing a character sketch, please substantiate every character trait with an example from the text. Expression means carefully structured content with a beginning, middle, and end. So what do you mean by beginning, middle, and end? Well, I've always been telling you, you need to divide your long answer in paragraphs. So beginning would be your introduction, the second paragraph would have all the value points, and third paragraph will be a conclusive statement or a very short paragraph. Highly relevant ideas presented cohesively, effective vocabulary usage, relevant and appropriate sentences, conveying the ideas precisely. And you can't forget spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So now let's solve some questions as per the latest CBSE sample question paper. This is a short question from your literature section. As you can see, it's a little, the question is actually asking for Rajkumar Shukla's character only. But look at the way it has been written. For example, it says, you may begin your answer like this. So you are introducing Rajkumar Shukla to the audience and you are starting your answer like this. Meet Rajkumar Shukla, the man who played a pivotal role in the Champaran movement. He is a determined, persevering person who has full devotion and dedication to solve the Champaran problem. So you see, you are writing it like a speech. Remember, it has to go in 40 words. So, like it says, the question requires characteristics of Shukla as inferred from the text. And expression would mean it is organized effectively using semi-formal tone. Why? Because it's a speech. So you are writing, you are introducing him to the audience. Next question is from A Thing of Beauty. Rationalize why Keats uses the metaphor an endless fountain of immortal drink. So essentially you are explaining this metaphor. Yes, and it's the same thing, but it's worded in such a way that you might have to think for a minute. And when you are answering it, you have to keep in mind that you give a valid explanation. Okay, and you use the language which displays rationalization. So that is important. So in this case, the value points are things of beauty are just like the immortal drink of the gods that flow continuously and never die, just as the endless fountain of immortality is an elixir of life. Similarly, things of beauty are constant in providing everlasting joy. So essentially the answer is the same. Only thing is that the tone should be such that you are rationalizing it. Why Keats has used the metaphor, an endless fountain of immortal drink. So you must remember how you are using your language when you are answering the question. This is a long question from Evans and it says, well, you must know the story and you must know which examples should go with this particular question. Now, as you can see, it clearly states you have to give an introduction where you talk about how the stage is set. The second paragraph, you have to analyze and give 3-4 examples. Like for example, Evans's grubby appearance, his silly but filthy looking bobble hat, the first mention of Reverend Stuart McLeary. So you can give any 3 or 4 instances in order to analyze it. And then the final paragraph would be conclusion that Dexter's Evans's tries an O-level is a creative and highly complicated prison break interspersed with twists in the plot. So that's the conclusive line. Only that much is required. But you must divide your answer in paragraphs. That is important. And one more thing. In long answers, please highlight the key words. Okay? So that's it. I hope this video will help you in your preparation of May 13th exam. All the best, children. God bless.